The news of Alexei Navalny's death came as German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy were meeting here in Berlin. Germany has promised another 1.1 billion euros to help Ukraine. Chancellor Scholz and President Zelenskyy also signed a long-term security pact. Scholz says it's a message to Russia that German support for Ukraine will not waver. Berlin will supply extra military equipment on top of the 28 billion euros it has already committed.
But today, we're taking a historic step forward. President Zelenskyy and myself, ladies and gentlemen, have signed an agreement on our long-term security pledges, and the document cannot be overestimated in terms of its significance. The independent Ukraine will continue to be supported by Germany in its defense against the Russian war of aggression, as long as it takes, as I have been saying ever since. And we're going to support our Ukrainian partners in their effort to build up modern forces in order to repel any future attack. And should another Russian attack and aggression come about in the future, we have agreed upon detailed support. This agreement with Germany is all about providing support, which has a volume of more than 7 billion of military assistance, 7 billion euros, that is. And there are very clear conditions laid down in this agreement. There are various moments that verify that Russia is responsible for all the war crimes that were committed in Ukraine. And each of these war crimes is going to be punished, which is just justified and just. The sanction also talks about sanctions against Russia and also mentions the frozen assets of Russia in various countries, frozen in various countries. And every country should know that these assets can be used for defense purposes and for reconstruction purposes.
And President Zelenskyy's visit was also overshadowed by Alexei Navalny's death. DW chief political correspondent Nina Haase gave me this update.
Well, the news broke as we were sitting there waiting for the leaders to turn up for their press conference, announcing that historic deal of security cooperation. So essentially a very good day for Germany and Ukraine. And then news broke that Navalny is indeed dead. And both leaders commented. Olaf Scholz said that he was deeply devastated. He knows Navalny in person. He met him when he was being treated in Berlin at the hospital after he was poisoned. And so this does go beyond a political message. Olaf Scholz said it is a personal matter that we're now seeing what kind of a regime we're dealing with in Russia, and that at the time he actually spoke to Navalny about his courage, about his plans to return to Russia. And Olaf Scholz said that Navalny has now probably paid for this courage with his life, and that Russia has long stopped being a democracy. The Ukrainian president said that Vladimir Putin doesn't care who dies and that he has killed Navalny. Now, of course, we have no confirmation as to the medical cause, but the Ukrainian president was very clear that this is something that Vladimir Putin will have to be held accountable for.
The Ukrainian President Zelenskyy was in Berlin to shore up support for Ukraine's war against Russian aggression. Did President Zelenskyy get what he wanted?
Well, they are both very hesitant when it comes to big words, the Ukrainian president and the German Chancellor, but they both spoke of a historic agreement. And it is something where they're formalizing the support that Germany has already been giving Ukraine for the last 2 years in the defense against Russian aggression. But this is also going beyond that. It is a deal where they're signing a long-term support package, essentially. So this deal consists of 3 pillars. Mainly, Germany will continue providing military aid and help Ukraine train its soldiers, etc. As a second point, it will also help Ukraine build up a resilient army so that it can, in the long term, withstand Russian aggression. And then the third point is, if all of that fails, then Germany will help Ukraine fend off any future Russian aggression that could occur even in a post-war scenario. But what it does not entail is that German soldiers would come to Ukraine's defense on the ground.
Both leaders also mentioned the support from the United States. How worried is President Zelenskyy and Chancellor Scholz that the US support could start to wane?
Well, the fear is tangible. The situation on the front lines is, of course, an extremely critical one, and Ukraine does risk losing some of its territory to Russia for good. And with the US aid package worth 56 billion euros being held up in Congress at the moment, Olaf Scholz actually addressed the Congress, pleading with them to help Ukraine, because this is not just about helping a small country defend itself. This is about European security as a whole. And everybody knows that it is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, without US money.
We'll leave it there for the time being. DW's Nina Haza, thanks so much for joining us.